I don't know about you guys, but I know a lot of people that are now manifesting their goals. They're really into manifesting and speaking their dreams into existence. And that's cool. Like, that's a good attitude to have, and that's a part of it. But, you got to do other stuff, right? A lot of people listen to interviews of successful people, and these successful people come out and go, oh, I had the right mindset. I wrote my goals down on a piece of paper. I set my mind to something and I did it. I told my mom I was going to do this. I told my dad I was going to do that. And guess what? I did it. I worked really hard. I bet on myself. And that sounds great, but they also did things. And a lot of you aren't doing things. You can manifest all day, but you also got to do stuff. Manifesting itself doesn't actually work because there's all these other things that have to happen, especially stuff outside of your control. And the example I'll use is the Ball family. If you're not familiar, LeVar Ball has 3 sons, Lonzo, LiAngelo, and LaMelo. And he got famous because Lonzo was a really good high school basketball player. All 3 of them were really good. And LeVar got famous for being super outspoken, saying that his sons were going to be Lakers. He was like, Lonzo is going to be a Laker. Sure enough, a few years later, Lonzo becomes a Laker, and everyone is like, oh, LeVar spoke it into existence. Oh, LeVar manifested this reality. He didn't. There were 33 other things that happened for that to occur. For one, Lonzo was really good at basketball. And I'll give LeVar credit. He coached him. He was a mentor to him. He helped Lonzo get there. But at the end of the day, Lonzo had to get himself there. And Lonzo got good enough at basketball to be one of the best college basketball players in the country. So he would end up being one of the top picks in the NBA draft. The top picks in the NBA draft go to the worst teams in the NBA, which means the Lakers had to be one of the worst teams in the NBA. And they were. They were third, fourth to last or something. The Lakers sucked all on their own. LeVar didn't do that. As much as I'd love to credit LeVar with someone sucking, he didn't do that. The Lakers were bad by themselves in order to get the second pick in the draft. And that's the other thing. The Lakers got the second pick, and Lonzo was good enough to go first. A lot of people thought he was good enough to go first. But the first pick were the Sixers. And the Sixers just drafted a point guard, Ben Simmons, who would go on to be Rookie of the Year. Not a great time to be Ben Simmons right now, but for a few years there, he's a max contract guy. He's an all-star. So the Sixers didn't need a point guard. They drafted a really good shooting guard in Markelle Fultz. Did LeVar make Ben Simmons great? Did LeVar make Markelle Fultz great? Did he make the Sixers suck? Again, I wish I could say he did, but he didn't. That's on them. So then the Lakers would need a point guard in order to justify drafting Lonzo. But they already had a point guard, D'Angelo Russell. Until D'Angelo Russell decides to take a Snapchat of Nick Young admitting that he cheated on his rapper wife, and that causes a rift in the locker room. The Lakers have to get rid of D'Angelo Russell, which means, guess who needs a point guard? The Lakers. So who are they going to draft? The best point guard in the draft, Lonzo Ball. LeVar didn't take the video. LeVar didn't cheat on Iggy. That was D'Angelo, that was Nick, and that was the Lakers again. So all these things had to happen for this dream to become a reality. And by the way, it didn't work out. Lonzo had 2 lackluster seasons, got traded to the Pelicans, and now he's playing for the Bulls. I'll use another example in case you're not a sports fan. The Jim Carey example. People love to tell the story of Jim Carey living in his car, struggling actor, struggling comedian, and then he writes himself a check. Writes himself a check for $100 million for services rendered. And years later, after he made it, he was able to cash that check. He manifested his reality. Or Jim Carrey was just super funny. We ever think about that? He put in the effort to get to all of these clubs to get better at comedy. He had the skill to get picked up on Living Color. He had the business sense to take really good movies. All I'm saying is the manifestation's a part of it, but as soon as you start relying on it as a pillar of success, stop. It's over. People all the time are like, oh, he lived in his car. He wrote himself this check he couldn't cash, and then he became successful, and then he was able to cash that check. Trust me, I live in Los Angeles. I know about 28 people that live in their cars. They all suck. Okay, just because they live in their car doesn't mean they're going to be Jim Carey. I tell people all the time I want 1,000 subscribers, and I'm going to have 1,000 subscribers. And as you'll see, not yet. But I keep doing this to get this. Hopefully now there is. Nope. And look, I'm not trying to be some motivational speaker. I'm not trying to tell you that I know the secrets of success or like what I'm doing is the right way to do it. I'm not saying I know anything. Nobody knows anything. All I'm trying to say is stop telling me what you want to do and just do it. That's really what it comes down to. I'm just sick of hearing it. I actually don't care. Nobody cares. By the way, Lavar's had a lot of manifestations that have not become realities. Here's just a few of them. Beating Michael Jordan one-on-one. Still hasn't happened. Can't imagine it will. LaMelo being a Laker. The youngest son. Got drafted by the Hornets. You wanted LiAngelo to be a Laker. The dude is barely a pro. At the time of making this video, LiAngelo is lighting it up in the Summer League. I'll admit that. But guess who else lit it up in the Summer League? Lonzo. He also claimed the Lakers would go to the playoffs in Lonzo's first year. They finished 11th in Western Conference play, which means they missed the playoffs by about 12 wins. And he claimed that Lonzo would be the best player in the world. Guess we'll just have to wait and see, but I hope Lavar is speaking it into existence as hard as he possibly can. Peace!